Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back for another positive talk. Super excited to be here today, bringing on a guest who hopefully a lot of you have heard of. He has phenomenal music out, and I'm so excited that he said yes to coming on today. So I will send out that invite real quick, get him on. Great weekend, got a fun week planned ahead. Hello, hello. There we are. How are
Hey,
you?
what is going on? Good
Well,
morning, Fred.
I just did a rush dog walk because I had tons of meetings this morning and my dog was like squealing. He's like, it is time. So I ran out real quick to do that before we jumped on a live.
You're a good dog dad. Today has been extremely hot and wet, and so we have an Australian Shepherd, and so he's just full of energy all of the time. And we got to get him out. Like we live in an apartment, we have to get him outside a lot to exercise and get that energy out. So when it's days like this, when it's like rainy, wet, and really hot, it's too hot for him to go outside. He's a freak. You will be hearing him bark at like random noises during this live, I can promise you. Oh,
Love it. Yeah.
so let me
Am I
see if
still
I
there?
can. Oh, my connection just got better. Okay, cool. Just
Okay,
making sure.
perfect.
Keep me updated
Yeah.
with that too. I'm having a little bit of a Wi-Fi issue. I can go on data if I need to.
Yeah, you're all good.
Okay.
Yeah, with the temperatures getting above 100 degrees here in Virginia, we try to walk him early in the morning and then late at night so that he doesn't have to deal with the heat. But today he dealt with it, so we survived. But yeah, I will let you introduce yourself so people know who you are, and then we can kind of dive into a conversation because I'm super excited to hear about what you're doing
For
this
sure.
year.
What's going on, everyone? I'm Devin Hayes. I am a solo artist in the making, and will always be. I don't think that'll ever change. I will be always making new things and developing a new person. It's almost funny saying, "Hey, I'm Devin." I'm actually, I don't know. I feel so much more than that.
God.
But as I am here today, I'm an artist, and I'm here to share my music with you, and also I don't know, just share my heart. When I saw Ben hit me up about this, I checked out his page and I loved the energy of it and wanted to be a part. And normally I don't do things like this, but today especially, I woke up and actually felt like I needed like a talk like this. So I'm really happy to be here. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I started this series back in 2020 thinking it was going to be a short-lived series, and they honestly became like my favorite part of my day.
2020 you
And
started this?
yeah, it was funny because like at 50, I was like wrapping it up at 50, we're good. And then someone was like, "Let's do another episode." I'm like, "Okay, I can wrap it up at 100." And then it
This,
just kept going, and I
this
was
is
like, "You know what?
300. This is 311. That is
Yes."
crazy.
So we're just gonna keep going and see how long I can take this. But
Ah, it's so
I'm
fun.
glad that you jumped on here and did this because I've been following you for a while on Instagram,
Oh,
and
sweet.
every single time I saw stuff that you were putting out, I was like, I absolutely love the energy that you
Mm.
put out into the world. And I feel like you're also one of those people who are sharing yourself authentically, which I think in the music world can be hard, especially when it's you're chasing numbers and you're trying to
Oh,
prove yourself to other
yeah.
people when music and art is kind of an authentic
Thank-
thing. And it's like, I don't want to modify and change my message and myself to be liked, but I think you've handled it really well. And I know that you've been through many ups and downs, but it looks like music is definitely the thing on your heart, and you're not going to let that stop you.
Thank you for saying that. First of all, I really appreciate and receive the compliments. And second of all, you're so right. Like just for you saying that, it allows me to check in with myself right now in the present moment, because the last 10 years of doing this, the first thing that I actually did to get myself out there was live streaming. Like I essentially just entertained as many people as I could online over streams like this, and it turned out it then like kind of transitioned into a music career. And so when you say that, it always reaffirms to me what place I'm coming from when I'm doing these things, right? And so like it almost triggers like old neural pathways in my head to jump on this live and be like, oh God, how should I be? Like how, you know, like hi, like I, you know, it's like it's such a thing, right? Such a thing. And I always have to remind myself, just be human, just be yourself. That's what you want. That's what people want. That's what you want, Ben. And so yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a constant reassurance to yourself of you do have to entertain to a certain value to be able to pull in new influences, I believe. Um, but you also have to stay true to yourself throughout that. So, like the version you see on me of me online is yes, that's me, but it's also hey, the camera's on. Like, how do I, you know, play to this camera, or how do I play to this person? I'm just constantly trying to, I guess, energy work, you know, and trying to be the best in every aspect I can be in, and within that you can lose yourself. And so, thank you for that. The music industry is full of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a journey. And the one thing that I don't think a lot of people calculate is the growth and the fact that we all change. So when it comes to like an artist, you grow as a person, but the people who listen to you also grow, and we don't always grow in the same direction.
Yeah,
So when it comes to people who connect to new music, it can be completely new
yeah,
people. And I've gone through many transitions of, okay, this doesn't feel like me
yeah,
anymore. I feel like I'm trying to perform the old me because I know that's what
yeah,
people like, and I'm not showing up authentically anymore. How do I fix that? And I think that that's really important. But when it comes to having a career around music and also getting other people on board to support or help you move your art further, you can get stuck in that you can't change. You're not allowed to change. We've worked so hard to create this version of you. You have to stay this version for several years so we can make money off of it. Then you can change if you like. You can't, you have to be Hannah Montana for a good 20 years and then you can be Miley
bro.
Cyrus later.
I had a feeling coming on here was gonna really, really serve me well. I'm actually going through a huge transition right now with following this. I would call it like a spiritual energy, like a knowing, like follow your heart. You know, and like it's a cheesy saying, follow your heart. Well, it's true. Like right now, I'm going through a huge transition. I just got dropped by my label. I've been doing this music thing for 10 to 11 to 12 years, and like we said, talked about formulating all these boundaries in what reality looks like to me in my head. But the more that I look outside of those boundaries that I've created in my head of what Devin Hayes is or what path will take me to my dreams, and I'm not really even clear on that yet. Every time I take a look outside of it, it feels uncomfortable, but it almost feels like enlightening. And so, like just recently, I've been jamming with some musician friends, and seeing this other side of myself in a group setting, in a collective setting, in a band setting. And the last 3 days have just been contemplating, because my heart is like, maybe you need to start a band. Maybe it needs to be more of a collective instead of trying to sell yourself all the time, Devin. Like this brand of Devin Hayes, like, is also you, and it's still screwing with like a lot of the bad hardware that I have in my head since 14 of trying to sell myself and be this somebody and doing it all by myself, man. It's tough. So with you saying that, it's almost just like, wow, somebody gets me, somebody understands that, like, whenever like we see, and we've created this path and this vision and this mission. Whenever we feel like we're not on it, it's like, oh no, let's alter our world to do whatever we can to get back on this, because this is what's safe and this is what's comfortable and this is what we've created to believe ourselves to know. This is our reality. Here's our boundaries to feel safe. Okay, if I just ride this, like you say, in 7 to 10 years I'll be this, I'll be that. And we control reality and we control the universe in order for us to feel safe, protected, confident, etc. But every time that shatters, I find myself being this incredible, expansive human being, with
Yeah.
music, with that too. So just hearing you say that is like, I continuously over the last 3 days have heard these things from you, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, like just reassuring me that like, hey, yes, I am trying to guide you towards a more unboundary type of life. I want you to, you deserve to be more expansive than that.
Yeah. And I think that that's the fun part about like growing up and like gaining new experiences in life, because everything teaches you something new. Every interaction you
Yeah.
have adds a new piece to your puzzle that you get to build.
Right.
And I think when it comes to like musicians, the important thing is also remember what brought the lyrics to you before.
Yeah.
Like it was life,
Yeah.
a life lived brought you lyrics. And a lot of
That's
times,
so
I
cool.
think, especially in today's world, when it comes to the hyper fixation of social media and getting ourselves out there, like we fall into this trap of being stuck to the
Yeah.
screen or stuck to our numbers. And it's like, I'm surprised more artists don't sing about
Yeah.
numbers and followers, because that's what we focus on. And a lot of times, because I do coaching, one thing I try to get people to realize is like, when was the last time you did something completely different that you've never done before?
Right.
Because writer's block or like failure to see any new ways of growth is because you haven't gone out into the world and gotten enough new information to see a new step
Wow.
forward. And I think a lot of times, once people start doing that, like I've told people, I'm like, go skydiving, like do something crazy that you've never
Take it up.
done and see what it brings.
Take it up.
Because it's all about like living life.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when you're a business or you become known as something, you start to focus on like,
Yeah.
how do I keep being this? Because I've gotten positive feedback from this, but we have to remember to keep growing, because
100%.
otherwise we start to disconnect from what everyone wants
Yeah.
of us, which is not good.
And like what you're saying, like in response to that, like the things that we connect ourselves to so deeply, be like, this is it. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to do with my life. And like here's an example, right? You have a wife of 10 years or a girlfriend, whatever. You have a partner for a very long time, and you've built your entire world around this partner, right? Like XYZ down to the T, the house, the finances, the relationship in general, the fulfillment you get from that, the validation, and your partner and you split up, or your partner suddenly passes. Your entire world is shattered. Everything that you've built to make yourself feel comfortable and feel like you, and like, this is me, this is it, blah, 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 to make you feel comfortable, to live life. It's ripped right underneath you. I think everybody in life has had a moment like that in some way, where the rug is just shoo, and nobody saw the person with their hands do that. And like, whoa, what the? Now we're on our ass. And everything that we believed in, everything that we planned out is suddenly gone in an instant. And are we okay with that? Do we need to learn to be okay with that? Is life showing us who's in control here, you know, or is life showing us that we are actually way more free human beings than society makes us out to be? And so with all these things that we're saying, like you say, growing up and learning and learning and learning, I find that when I talk to very conscious elders, they talk about this. They talk about not attaching yourself to the highs or the lows and just living this life right here, because all of this shit's going to happen around you and it's going to try to affect you. But to sit in the seat of like more of a conscious perspective without it hitting you, I explain it like this, like just to put it to you in physical format. Like, let's say here's a thought or something that happens to you, and it comes by, it's like, phew, it's trying to hit your head. If you instead let it affect you and then you like neglect it, you close it off and you store the energy, right? And now you're a grumpy man for the next 10 years of life because you haven't dealt with it. You didn't let it move out with you. What I'm trying to practice now is like, oh, here comes the thought or the thing that happens to me. I'm going to look at it and, oh, I'm going to let it pass. Okay, life is still here. It's not in here. Oh, here comes another one. Whoa, that's pretty crazy that I thought of that or that happened. You know, just let it go, let it flow. Don't let it get ow. And then if it does hit you, process that, but be able to actually like breathe into it and understand it, and then allow it to move out in whatever way, yawning, burping, dancing. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I'm so spiritual, like hoodoo voodoo, but I'm learning all these things, and it's allowed me to let go and to kind of come back and remember that I just, so many things have changed up on me in the last 10 years of my life. So many, and
Yeah.
since I was a kid. I mean, it's ever changing. And so I think as human beings, if you would agree, we need to learn how to let these things go, come and go, and just be in the position of like, wow, this is crazy. What a conscious experience I'm having in my brain. Because those things that are happening and are literally just thoughts. Like the birds are still whistling, the wind is still blowing, no matter if your cat dies or not. The sun's still coming up.
Yeah.
It's just it's wild.
Yeah. It's so interesting to like look at life that way because one way that I've looked at it is like something that can be truly devastating to me makes it feel like the world just
Yeah,
stops. Like I get hit with something that just like stops my world where everything is in slow motion,
yeah,
but I look around and everyone else is still
yeah.
functioning because what is traumatic or devastating to me may not be the same for other people. Like
Right.
losing a loved one
Yeah,
or a breakup
yeah,
happening, like everyone else is still operating, but like it sends you into like this extreme emotion where how can not how can the world still spin? Like I'm feeling this. But when you start to like realize everything is very neutral, but we've assigned a positive or a negative to
yeah.
it, we start to realize that these extreme things that we're feeling, and people always try to challenge me with death, and they're like, how
Right.
can there be a neutral to death? And I've experienced enough loss in that realm where I'm like, I I get to sit now with all the memories that were made from this interaction with this person while they were here on this earth. And I get to carry forward with me everything that they taught me, whether it was a heart lesson, whether it was something that was more
Yeah,
logical. They still exist within me and
yeah,
I get to bring that
yeah,
forward. Yes, in the moment when you find out painful news, the pain is
yeah.
there. But what you do with it, if you want to hold on to, kind of like you're saying, being a grumpy man for
Close
10
them
years, you can
off
hold
on it.
on to that
Right,
pain for
right.
forever.
Yeah,
Or you can just be like, that person brought so much beauty into this world while they were here. I want to make sure that it keeps existing through me and everything that I do.
yeah,
And I think that the more people connect with that, and I think artists will naturally connect with beautiful things like that in a more unique way than people who are not as creative minded. Um, but I think that it's really important for people to understand like chaos is not
yeah.
bad, new is
That's
not
right.
bad. Um, you have to let go of one stage of life to move into the next,
Yeah,
and just know the lessons you learned, they'll serve you in your future, but the tools and tactics you use for the last version of yourself, those will probably need to be laid down because new challenges are here now, and it's time to find the new tools in this new space to move to the next level.
oh, so true, man. And that goes for anything. Every time you say something like that, again, I know I keep bringing up, I'm just this transition that I'm going through. It's great to hear the reassurance that like it's okay. Like I'm reminding myself, it's safe. It's safe to move forward. Like just keep moving forward. Here's another example. I feel like right now in my life, I bet a lot of people can feel this. Like there are these invisible, like invisible fences, like dogs. When you put it out in a yard, a normal fence dogs can see or we can see, right? And so we know we can't get past this fence. We see the fence, but an invisible, like a shot collar one, the dog will be running like whoa, 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 and then suddenly it shocks, and then it's like, whoa, that was scary. I didn't like that, and so it's going to associate that area with not going there again. I feel like we do that as human beings. We find things that shock us, that feel uncomfortable to us from our different circumstances, whether it's family traumas, losing a loved one, what society's taught us, our education system, whatever it is, these invisible force fields, these glass ceilings, we approach and we feel discomfort. So we're like, nope, not going to go there. Let's stay in our little our yard. And my question is, well, how big is your yard? How big is your yard, Ben? How big is my yard? And then when we approach those areas that feel uncomfortable or we feel a little more sensitive, can we allow ourselves to, instead of, oh, not going there, relax, relax, breathe into it, lean into it, and be prepared for the discomfort, not shocked by it, and then continue to move through it. Be like, okay, you suddenly start to get used to moving through it. And those new neural pathways get, rewired. And then suddenly you realize you're so expansive. You've been limiting your life to this yard for so long. And now you see the creek that's out down the hill. Whoa, there's a creek. And now you see this beautiful bird. You're seeing a whole new life. And then an alligator comes out of the creek, and you're like, ah, alligator, run back. But next time, since you know there's an alligator, you're gonna bring some sort of torch to get it away.
Yeah,
I think that's
it's
life
funny
right
that you
there.
say that because like I talk to people about like midlife crisis about how life starts to shrink. Like it's almost like the things that hurt you or the things you try and fail at are slowly shrinking your yard to where it becomes so small that eventually you're just like, I can't do this anymore. We have to try something. And a lot of times it can be very dramatic.
Yeah,
And I think that it's important for people to constantly do things to expand that yard
yeah,
because that's your life that you're
yeah,
expanding there. And I put myself into a really small box really quickly because anything I tried and it didn't succeed the first time, I was like, that's a no
yeah,
go. Can't go that direction.
yeah,
And unfortunately, when you're trying new things and creating something out of nothing, there will be a lot of moments where it doesn't work, but you can't just stop and be like, that
yeah,
direction doesn't work. You have to like continue to
yeah,
try and be like, why doesn't it work? How could I make it work? What tools do I have to make this exist
yeah,
in my realm if I want it? But I think we're taught by society there's a certain road you're supposed to
yeah,
take. I always tell people being part of the LGBT community was nice because it removed a lot of those steps that were everyone was told to
yeah,
follow because they didn't work for me. I was like, you say I'm supposed to get a wife, but I don't want a wife. So what's the other steps? What else is available around me? Whereas a lot of people love order and chaos. They're like,
yeah,
here's the next step. This is what you're supposed to do. And
yeah.
that feels really
Same.
comfortable. And I think creatives feel that too, because
Yeah,
creatives don't want that 9 to 5 job. They don't want to sit in that box and work for someone else. They want to express their art to the world and connect with people through it, but society didn't create a stepping stone path for that. That is stepping into chaos and unknown and trying your best. And musicians of the 90s and early 2000s did not have TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, and all these easier ways. There was, you have to make it through these gates
yeah.
that are gate kept by these huge record
That's right.
companies, or you walk around and hand out a cassette tape to people. Those were your options,
Yeah,
and now there's so much more. And I think we've still got a lot of people trying to navigate the old way of doing
yeah.
things and forgetting the resources that are available,
That's me.
which you've jumped into for
I
sure.
no, I constantly forget is what I'm saying. It's so easy, especially with this media, like this, and the inspiration, like you said, compared to artists back then to now, those artists like Prince or Michael Jackson, they didn't have any of this. Their inspiration directly went into their music. Now, an inspired artist today, any creative artist, an inspired person in general, they go on and they watch what they're inspired by, like content, by whatever it is. Maybe they're inspired by building a house, but for me it's music. So when I see another musician be awesome, instantly I'm like, how can I be that awesome? And so my inspiration actually goes into a wrong funnel. It goes into a comparison funnel. It goes
Yeah.
into an attachment funnel. And it actually doesn't allow me to be me anymore, because now that I've been inspired by this, I want to create this for myself. And that's like, I see a lot of artists, including myself, still do to this day. It's such a hard thing to get out of, um, because we're constantly inspired. And so that is why many of our music is not reaching to the A list anymore. You know, like it's such an oversaturated industry. And when you go on a pop playlist or pop in general, let's talk about pop. It's all the same. We're talking about the same thing. It's about the same girl, the same guy, and it has the same hi hats and kick. And that's why we sing. A lot of people go over and more into the folk and indie and country now, and people who actually want to hear real stories and real lyrics, because this more artificial side is getting so artificial because everybody wants to be one another, you know. And with that, it's just hard to actually be an artist. Like, I would honestly say myself a year ago, I wouldn't consider myself a true artist. I would consider myself a singer, producer, and musician, but I wouldn't have labeled myself an artist because I was trying to copy everything Benson Boone was doing. I was trying to copy everything Blake Rose was doing. These people I were inspired by. Okay, he makes content like XYZ. Okay, he writes this and gets X amount of streams. Okay, now I'm gonna pull what I'm inspired by to make my own formula like that. It's like no, no, and now I'm not even writing music that's about me. I'm writing music that I think people want to hear because I'm seeing numbers from these artists. It's the same goes with dancers. Same goes with coaches. We're constantly. It's not bad to be inspired by our culture and what's happening in the now, but we can lose our intention. We lose ourselves so easily in that. I lose myself so easily in that, and I don't want to do that. So I have to go on
Yeah.
these social media breaks, and delete
So,
my social media and get in the studio and write from my heart and not think about anybody else to make true music. And like one of my songs, I'll make one of my songs an example. That's New is my first solo release in January, and I have grown exponentially since then. So looking back, like I love the song. It's got a great vibe, but it's artificial. There's nothing that feels like I really put myself into it. I was nervous to go below the surface. Yes, the song's about me like getting through depression and waking up in a sweat, but everybody's heard that before. Like, why were you in depression? Why did you wake up in a sweat? Who are your friends? Why, like these lyrics that I've made, they're so broad. Like, tell me more. Like, give me something. Give me substance. And so like now going into Life Starts Now, something that I'm really proud of, it's coming from a place of my heart rather than like my head, and it shows up in the energy. And so when you put That's New and Life Starts Now together and put them on loop, you will hear something that is like, whoa, this person has a lot of structure to, whoa, this person's very creative and very more open. And so you're going to see me with my music. Sorry, I'm rambling. I do this a lot. You're going to see me with
you're
my
fine.
music really take a turn and start to actually make things that sound good to me without comparing them to Sabrina Carpenter or Pink Sweats or all these people that are, in this realm up here doing well. The only way that I can get up there is by being myself and not being a copy of that. I got to be myself. And that goes for everybody here. We got to remember why we're doing this, what we want to say. And I think that's just going to be so much more resonating to another human being than writing it for them. Write it for yourself. Do it for yourself. Build it for yourself. Dance for yourself.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's funny because I feel like the things that people are most fearful of saying out loud are the things that need to be said.
Yeah.
Like, for an example, like my friend group, anytime we hung out, there was alcohol involved. And this was a friend group from my past, not currently here. But I was tired of every time we hang out, like no one was sober by the end of the night, and it was just like on repeat every single time. It was just like we know what's going to happen, tons of alcohol, everyone's going to be gone. And I one night I was just like, what if we hung out and had a game night with no alcohol? And the amount of people that were just like, yes, let's do it. The
Oh,
amount of us that were existing in this space drinking just because we thought the other person wouldn't come if we didn't have alcohol, and that person wouldn't come. As soon as I took that moment, I was just like, let's do a hangout where we just think and we open our minds and we connect. And since then, like maybe there'd be like birthdays where there was some alcohol, but game nights became a regular thing.
yeah.
We started hanging out. We started doing dinners and lunches and doing stuff without alcohol. But it just took one person just saying, this is not what I want to be doing. So many people exist out there and they're following people and doing the thing that they don't want
Yeah.
because they're too afraid to say, I don't
That's
want
right.
this. It takes an artist, it takes a person that just says, like, this is it. This is what I want to be doing. And so many people will be like, wow, I I am 100% with you. But it's like that fear piece of like,
Yeah.
what are you afraid of like saying? There's probably so many other people that are afraid of the same thing because society has trained us all to fear very similar things. But when people step out the box and they're like, I'm terrified of this. the amount of people that are like, me too. It's instant.
That is such a great example. I'm seriously like still like letting that sit in. It's interesting what we do to kind of follow each other, and because we're all so lost, we have no idea like what we're actually doing here. But like society makes it easy for us to make like, no, I'm here to make income and party with my friends and live a life with my wife and make kids and okay, cool. Now I feel safe. Now I feel like I know what I'm doing here. And just with the simple example of you saying like deep down, I didn't really want to do that. So like I found the courage to say, I don't think it's should be this way. And everybody's like, yeah, right. Yeah, like me either. This makes me question how much we've been trained to be sheep in this world, and we're being by our Aussies, like my little bear boy, being herded towards different things with marketing, with educational systems, with the people who don't want us to think out of the box, you know? And we can go all down the rabbit trails of, you know, how the people at the top don't want us to be at the top because they are, and the sadness of that. But we can really truly connect with our truth, and that's even better than that. It's even better than bitching about how life's set up. You know, it is what it is. You know, but we can create really fulfilled lives by finding the courage to be like, no, like this is me. That's not me. This is me. You know. And that's a good segue into Ben hit me up and he was just like, yo, so like I always give the guest like the topic of conversation. I love how we just jumped into one. And I said that I would really like to talk about like in order in honor of my new song Life Starts Now, I wanted to talk about the process of letting shit go in your life. Letting go and not just doing that, but realizing that you're in you're in command. Like you have the ship by the balls. Like you are the actual one that gets to drive around in here. And I know that society's taught you otherwise, and I know it's scary to drive. And sometimes people, you know, just want to be a passenger. I want to talk about that process and what does letting go look like? What do you need to let go of? And how you can actually apply that action instead of just, yeah, I should do this. No, how to actually integrate that. So to start that, I want to talk about my personal experience because it's easy to come on here and be coaches and be like, everybody, this is how it is, this is what it is, and talk from
Yeah.
such a metaphorical third person view like I have been doing, and without applying like how we've been affected by it, because that's I think that's so much more effective than the teaching itself. So back in 2022, I went down a really, really dark depression. Like I had suicidal thoughts for the first time in my life. And as this extrovert, as this very flamboyant and human being, you know, I wouldn't have expected that out of myself ever. And so when that happened, I really thought I was doomed. And all of the demons in my head were just like, "You're doomed. Like you screwed up. Like you let us get a hold of you." And it was only until um, some really trusted loved ones around me was able to approach me with a opportunity, and that opportunity was to use plant medicines. And you know, obviously, I can't tell specifically what I've done because they're just not accepted in our world yet today. But it changed my life within one journey is what we call them. Within one journey, it completely it just got rid of all the toxic, the evil, the dark stuff out of my head, and it put me back onto what we're actually doing here for. Because these are actually herbs that are growing out of Mother Earth. Like it's literally things that you can take that that I could go pluck and put, you know, in my mouth. And the next thing you know, like I have this knowledge and knowing. And it also shows you how crazy our minds can be. Anyway, so been going down that process and that exploration for the last, what is it, 2024 now? Yeah, a couple of years. And it's been really bringing a lot of realizations to my head, things that I've done, like the boxes we've talked about. In particular, okay, get more particular, Devin. In particular, toxic relationships, people that I clung on to because it was easier to go smoke nicotine or marijuana or drink with them and not think about how screwed up my life was. And they were actually empowering that, supporting that because they were in the same spot. And it's no disrespect to those people. They're going through the same thing, but we more so resonate with people that are dark rather than want to be lifted. And so I took a look at my friend group and I saw how everybody did not empower each other to be better versions of ourselves. And so I was hit with, wow, I need to find a new friend group. And that's such a hard thing because these friends, one friend I was literally like I considered a brother for a very long time, that I just respectfully had to be like, hey, I'm changing now and I'm going, if you want to come along or not. And he didn't. And I still love him. And but that's the thing I had to let go of. And so another instance is my idea that I have to become famous. This was like an oath that I took with myself at 9 years old. I sat on the side of my twin bed after watching some Hollywood movie about somebody performing in an arena. I forgot what it was. And I literally looked at my hands and I was just like, I promise you, Devin, you're going to die a legend. You're going to sell out arenas. You're going to do this. I promised myself at 9 years old, so intentionally and so intentfully, so spiritually, I promised. I took an oath. And that has brought a lot of terrible expectation, um, anxiety. Even right now, I'm starting to feel discomfort. I'm still working on it. Calling out the beast that you've created in your brain, and it has brought a lot of lack of presence. Because every time I find something amazing about myself, I'm like, here's how I commercialize it so I can get to be a legendary status instead of like being in it.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that I needed to let go of. How I did that was I wasn't just aware of it because we all have our things, whether it's like I need to stop smoking or I need to let go of this person or I need to break up with this person. It could be to this level or that level. It's all the same. There's no levels. Um, the action is the scariest part to do. But I found that every time that I actually took the action, it wasn't scary at all. So approaching, let's say, me quitting nicotine, which I was addicted to for 4 years, every time I approach it, I'd feel really confident. And I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. Like I'm gonna do this. And so I would do it and I would quit it, like woohoo. And then the fiend would happen, right? The effects of quitting something that you've been so accustomed to for a while. And it doesn't have to be scientific, y'all. It doesn't have to be, oh, that's the nicotine. No, like imagine breaking up with somebody. We've all done this and being like, I shouldn't have broke up. I'm so sorry. And now you're back to square one, right? Because again, the rug, and you're like, ah, what is life? So I'm going past this friend and this addiction and all of these things, and I start to see myself look back a little bit. And there were 100% times where I went back, and I went back, and I went back, and so then I started to be conscious of myself that I'm in this cycle. And now instead of feeling conscious and empowered, I am beating myself up again. God, Devin, you can't do it. You can't do it. And the bad neural pathways are kicking back in again until one day I finally enough is enough. And that, like, again, the depression, the suicidal thoughts. I believe that everybody's darkest moment of their life is their enlightenment. That's their superpower. So when I see people in dark and addiction and stuff, I'm actually rooting for them. I'm like, I'm so excited for you because you're going to figure out yourself way quicker than anybody else in the world that is like, no, I'm cool. I'm fine. I'm just floating, like you're going through some shit for a reason. You're being woken up. So that for me was suicide and depression and literally going down the route of thinking I'm going to do that to myself. So finally, I was like, do I want to live here? Do I want to wake up and throw up and vomit in my toilet every day I get up because life is just too hard to live, you know? No, I don't want to do that. Okay. You know what? I'm going to make this decision because I do want to live and I'm too fucking scared to kill myself. I'm gonna live. And so this becomes a thing where now I don't go back to anymore because finally I've reached my breaking point. Everybody has a breaking point, whatever it is. We're in a cycle as human beings. And so my breaking point was death. I didn't want to die. I had too many things that I cared for above my toxic brain. And so finally I was able to let go and move forward. And then right when that happened, it felt like a freedom. And the first thing that you do that for, like whether again it's an addiction or a person or something, the first time you see yourself do that make you realize that you're in control of your life, like holy shit, I can do this with anything. So I started doing it with sugar, caffeine, things that I knew didn't serve myself, like alcohol. I'll get drunk maybe once a month. It's so fun. Like I'm living a human experience, but I'm being real about these things and I'm starting to shed. Holy shit. I'm waking up with a smile on my face. Oh my God. I'm dancing in public. Oh my God. I'm on a live with Ben right now telling people that I wanted to kill myself and that I was addicted to XYZ. Oh my God. I feel like Superman. I feel like Superman, and it's true. It comes from a very authentic and a real place for me. And again, there's going to be things in life that constantly tell you that you're not Superman, and you're not, you can't make water move. I do believe we're all God, but we can't walk on water yet. um, but it is to remind ourselves what we have done to get to where we are, and that empowerment and surrounding yourself with those people. When I told my fiance and my sister-in-law a couple nights ago about how I felt like I needed to stop selling myself and I was curious to be in a band, and they backed me up, not with being like, yeah, you need to stop doing this and do this. They backed me up with questions. They allowed me to go more in my heart and like, what do you want? What feels good? What's the heart saying? Finding people that can help you get in touch with this instead of like, yeah, I know, right, dude, and they put it on themselves. I'm doing this, I'm doing that without that, or they're just like, dude, quit dealing with it. Like life's chill. Like no, those people aren't there to help you. They're projecting their bad selves onto you, in order to find comfort. Finding somebody that can help you empower yourself to continue to move life and let go of those things and applying them is the main factor. So I don't know if that was clear enough, but just to break it down, what has worked for me is looking to how deep and dark do I want to go before I tell myself that I'm in control, you know? And so, you might not be ready to let go of some of your things in your life. You want to, but you're not ready, and that's completely okay. But you'll know when, and you will, and it's those affirmations. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my ramble about the things in my life that have happened to me that have held me back that I've now feel so much more freedom from.
Yeah. And I love that you were able to connect with that version of yourself and find out that it can exist, because I think when you hit it, you just want everyone else to know
Yeah,
what that feels like. But unfortunately, like you said, they have to hit their rock bottom, or they have to hit the pain point
yeah,
that triggers the need for that
no,
realization to come. And unfortunately, you can't bring people with you on that journey. It's usually a journey where once you get to the other side, you will find people. But that
yes,
journey stepping through is usually the strength of stepping through that fear by yourself. And I've been through so many different things where I you were talking about wanting to be like infinitely famous, like well known and known for what you've done. But the beauty of the journey is you've had supporters all along. You've had
yeah,
people who are sitting here cheering you
yeah,
on 100%,
yeah,
and we are just trying to grow that. So we try to perform for a new group of people. We're like, how do I get you, the people who aren't currently listening to me, how do I get you to look at me?
yeah.
And I think when you shift your focus to the people who are already supporting you
Wow.
and realize that if you keep doing that, if you keep being exactly you, that joy is going to keep spreading further and further and further. Because the people who aren't listening to you for a reason. And maybe your story doesn't
Yeah,
touch them,
yeah,
but if you keep putting your energy towards the people who love you no matter what. Because I've had people who have watched me go from who I was to who I am now, and they're still on this journey with me.
yeah,
And no matter what I say, like, I could be like, you know what, I think I'm going to go move to South Africa. And they're like, you know what, I think if that's what you're being told to do, like, if that's the pull you feel, do it. I'll support you. Whereas if people don't want to see you succeed, they may hit you with some limiting beliefs,
yeah,
which can usually come from a more selfish place. Maybe somehow you make the money. Maybe you're the person who ties them to something that they're trying to reach. So they're riding your train as long as they can go
Yeah.
on.
Right.
And you going to Africa doesn't get them to their destination, so they've got to slow you
Yeah.
down. But when I stopped creating content to try to get more people and just started creating content that was me and focusing on the names that kept showing up time after time after time, I was like, wow, I've got a group of people. And it was crazy to watch when I started falling off my authentic journey, how I became disaligned with people who were meant for me. And I always tell people, don't don't try to grow a following of 5 million people by being someone other than yourself, because you're going to get tired of
Yeah.
that. And when you shift, all those people who are following you for the person you weren't, they will
Yeah.
fall away,
Wow.
and you will only still be left with the people who connect to you authentically. So it's better to just stay that route and know when to ask for help. I got to a level where I was like, I'm the expert. I'm the person that knows things. People look to me like I'm the positive talk guy. I have to be positive. I'm a coach. I have to know things. As soon as that came, like my growth stunted. It was just
Wow.
like stop. And it's because before I was like, I don't know things. I'm not good at this. I'm not an expert. I'm always growing.
Yeah.
So like asking people on your platforms like, are you ready to take this journey with me? Because I'm about to take the most authentic journey forward.
Wow.
Like people will connect with you and you will see how many more people, because we're living in a day and age where people connect to your authentic, flawed, imperfect self, because we're all that way. And we're like, you know what? I mean, I reached out to you because I was like, look at him like putting his addiction out there and using it to write a song. I was like, that's inspiring, and I reached out to you. So I think you're on that journey of like
Yeah.
realizing all those little pieces of you that you maybe not quite show enough love to yet. Like your followers and the people who love your content, they're already loving all of it. They're just waiting for you to be proud of it and say, hey, it's part of me.
Jesus, bro, you made me emotional. I think if there was anything that I could take away from today, it was what you said, um, and the kind of reflection that you gave me, and the reassurance. I'm a words of affirmation guy, uh, and it's hard to be that as an artist because you're constantly like looking for am I doing what am I worthy of doing this? Am I that? And it almost brings you a level of inauthenticity. And so to hear you say that again allowed me to reflect on myself and realize that I'm still a little bit in there. I'm moving, I'm transitioning. Again, I'm leaning into these invisible fences and trying to show people who I am. But honestly, posting that addiction thing, I was really scared to do that. But again, I'm trying to use action instead of thoughts. Like if I'm going to be this person, this vulnerable, authentic person, I got to get right with these things and use these things as my. I got to walk my talk. I'm literally talking about that. I got to walk the talk.
Yeah.
And I want to inspire other people to do the same. It's not easy, but God, when you do it, it feels so much more freeing. So when you tell people like, hey, I'm moving full forward, authentic to myself, and if you're along the ride, come, that made me feel so much better than being like, hey, this is my authentic version. Do you like it? Can you follow? Can you share?
Yeah.
Like, this is authentic me. It's like, yeah, bullshit. You wouldn't care if people did that if it was really you. Like, you don't need validation. And so I feel so empowered. Thank you for that. And inspired to actually fully be that, to fully be that. And I want to be that. And so whenever I follow my heart, that's what it leads me to. But then, like, just a heart palpitation there, saying that it causes my ego to be like, wait, you're saying this live, you're putting this out on the internet. Like, now you have to do this. What do you mean? We were supposed to do this
Well,
by the end of the year. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you said it like with words, like words are magic. Like
Yeah.
words can be your anthem. Like I don't know if you've ever watched the Secret film
Yeah.
that they created for Rhonda,
Yeah.
her book.
Yeah.
Like she was talking about how she was talking to an artist and she was like, "Tell me what's wrong with your love life." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "All the women are facing away from you in your art." And she's like, try painting it to where you're surrounded by the women or you want women. And then he shifted eventually. He's like, well, I have all the women I could possibly want, but I want something deeper. And she's like, well, paint that into your art. I think it's the same
Cool.
thing with music. Like
Yeah.
create the anthem that will drive you forward. Like the amount of songs that artists put out that become someone's personal anthem to make it through hard times,
Yeah.
like those pieces of art like mean so much to the world, but it means so many different things to each
Yeah.
person. Like something beautiful that you create for yourself as an anthem to connect with your authentic journey,
Yeah.
it could be someone struggling with something you've never struggled with, but the lyrics mean something to them in
Yeah.
that moment. That's what I think is beautiful about art, is because the creation is in you, but its meaning becomes infinite once it's released into the world.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful to kind of like hear people's different perspectives on one piece of art because it's completely different. They're like, this makes my like blood boil. And I'm like, wow, this is so empowering. And I'm like, how is it making you angry? I don't get it.
Give
But
me an example of something that you have connected to in your life that was like, wow, this is me, like an art form, whether it was a TV show, whether it was a song, something that like really brought something out of you. I want to hear that.
so I would say, music wise, a song that I really connected to was Whitney Houston's
Yeah.
song, I Didn't Know My Own Strength. Because there were so many times in my life where I felt like no matter what I did, I could not stand up. Like, and I'm like, but I'm showing up each day. And I was always saying, without my friends, I wouldn't be here. Without my mom, I wouldn't have made it this far, but I was always giving my strength away. And I
Wow.
forgot that I have a strength to get through things that other people do not have.
Yeah.
And my strength to show up authentically and kind, because hardships can roughen people's edges, they can make people angry. I've been screwed over multiple times because I'm the type of person, I believe in everyone is innately good,
Yeah.
and when they're bad, it's out of their own pain and fear. And I can forgive them for that.
Yes.
But because of that, sometimes I put myself very close to people who are very damaging because they're still living in that trauma.
Yep.
But then another show that I really connected to was Smallville. I connected with Clark Kent just because he always fought so hard to do the right thing. Like,
This is
and he
Superman,
messed up. And
right?
yeah,
Okay.
so he there were times when he would put on the red kryptonite and do something that he shouldn't have done, and he felt pain for doing it after he took it off. But there was just always that pressure of doing the right thing, whereas other people made it look so easy doing the wrong thing or the
Yeah.
thing that wouldn't uh
Yeah.
it would cause damage a lot further, because he was Superman. He could have done so much, but he always had that weight of doing the right thing on his
And
shoulders.
and
And
that was you,
I
and that has
felt
been you.
that there were so many times where I'm like, I could just say, fuck it, fuck everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about yours.
Right.
Like, I'm doing me. But every step forward I took, I was like, I'm not going to do this in a way where I step on other people. I'm not going to destroy someone else's reputation to make me look better. There were so many times where people would say things about me that were untrue. And I was like, I could tell their secrets. I could do
Yeah.
something to damage their reputation. But I was
Yeah.
like, no, that's not me. That's not my
Yes,
character.
sir.
I'm going to choose the higher path no matter what.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes it's just like, oh, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the right thing. It'd be so easy to do something
Yeah.
else. So seeing it repetitively shown through his character in that series, I was like, I can definitely
That's
relate
cool.
to that. And it's almost like a hero's journey where you watch them face the odds where it looks like you're not going to win. The
Yeah,
odds are against you,
yeah,
but they still go for it. I see that in a lot of the things that I do. And there are days where I'm just like, I need a song. I need a song to pump me up and remind me that I'm strong and that I can do whatever I put my mind to.
cool.
Because, like, the weight of the world,
Yep,
especially in today's atmosphere and climate of everything that's going on globally, there are times where I'm just like, I feel so
yep,
defeated. But thankfully, I've connected with so many phenomenal people using Positive Talks or other platforms,
yeah.
and I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it in my little corner right here,
You are
but you're getting it from your corner, and
right.
I'll cheer you on when you need your like flame
Yes, sir.
reignited because I know it will come back to me later if I need to be
That's
reignited.
so true, man. Yeah, just like the law of attraction, right? And it's not doing it just for that too. It's coming from a place of authenticity whenever you want to help a certain way, situation or be humbled. Like I like what you're talking about with Superman, that every time he knew he messed up, he kind of humbled himself and took a look at it and felt it instead of a lot of people that I could specifically say, including myself in the past. Um, when we do something that's messed up, like what we like to say, fucked up. That was fucked up. You have
Yeah.
two options. You have the ability to look at it and be aware of it and be like, that was fucked up. Like I own that, and you can move on so much better than being like, I'm not gonna look at that. I did that. It's whatever. Move forward. God, you're holding on to that. When you
Hmm.
realize God, we can recognize truth so easily as human beings. We're such smart human beings, and as we can build a world full of lies in our brain, deep down spiritually within our guts, we know the truth. And so when we decide to move forward with that or past that and not succumb to it and be humbled by it, it creates a lot of destruction inside, which creates a lot of destruction all around you. You
Yeah.
start getting you start to get flat tires every day. It's what we call karma, because
Yeah.
you still haven't apologized to this person that you know stole from or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love that, man, and I love getting to know you through that too. I think it's the best way to actually connect is to talk about things that we're inspired by and that has humbled us, and using things that we were not so proud of to actually empower us into teaching ourselves and allowing ourselves to not do that again. And that inevitably turns into medicine for everybody around you. If you like really walk that talk, and people recognize that, like you said, you can't tell them to do it, but when they like see it for themselves and they apply it themselves, it's so much more empowering. So can't go around lecturing people like I used to, like my family,
Yeah.
especially, can't go lecturing, hey, you're doing this. Can't call out their truth that they know and put a finger to them. It will cause a panic. No, 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 no. Just continue to ask questions and allow them to figure out for themselves and give them a safe place instead of, you do this all the time. Blah, 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 no, 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 no lecturing. Just hold
Yeah.
space and love and forgive. Love and forgive.
Yeah. I know that we're getting close to the end of the hour, so I wanted to wrap it up by asking you a question of on your journey, you said that it's 10 plus years now of being a magician, musician. You're obviously a wizard as well. But when it comes to your career, what are some moments that just looking back, you just cherish
Oh, yeah.
and would never want to like lose that memory?
The first one that came to my mind was performing for my state fair in Illinois. It was in my city that I grew up in. And so it was just full of thousands of people, and it almost fulfilled that dream of the arena. Um, See what I just did there? It's like, no, my expectations, it almost fulfilled it. See, it's crazy. It's crazy. No, I really enjoyed performing for that amount of people. It was the most that I ever did, and it was the most me I felt on stage. I got the best feedback. I just remember looking at all the faces, smiling, and all the hearts in the air, and the posters, and just the love that was shared that day, and to literally live the rest of my life knowing that I performed the grandstand at my state fair where I saw all of my. That's the only place I went to for concerts. Saw Selena Gomez there and um, Shinedown, another band that I love. Just different bands. And then to say that I did that was really cool and very inspiring. And then another moment was when I quit my recent band that I was a part of for 4 years. I really like convinced myself that that was going to take me to fame and fortune when I joined at 19. I'm 25 now. And so I wrote that for 4 years and realized 2 years in, as I was maturing, especially during COVID, when those mirrors came up for all of us and the truths came out and we decided whether we wanted to work on them or not. I decided I wanted I decided I wanted to work on them. I actually tried quitting 2 years in. They convinced me not to because I just had so much love for my guys, but not the music. But finally finding the courage after 4 years, something that I felt so comfortable in, and then I painted my reality around, like we talked about earlier, to actually go to them and be like, "This isn't me, and it's not you. Like it's literally just a project. Like it's just not me." And I gotta stop lying to myself. That was my moment, life starts now moment, and that's actually when I wrote Life Starts Now was because of that, and my life truly began to open up and I truly grabbed the driver wheel since that moment. And now here I am finally releasing music again, the music that I want to release, the music that I want to write, the sound that I want to create. The opportunities are endless and it feels like freedom. And so I think without a doubt that's my favorite moment in my entire musical career was literally just deciding that, leaving a group that I just wasn't myself in for so long.
I love that.
So I got a
And
question for you.
yeah, all right.
So what is something in your life that was incredibly hard for you to find the courage to let go of? Specifically, that you're proud of yourself. Like what's the first thing that comes to mind that you're proud of yourself for? What's your life starts now moment?
Oh, I would say my whole life, I grew up doing things because I needed to be the best role model for like my younger sisters. And when we got older, I realized that I was very much being a crutch for them. And when I stepped away from being their support system because we just grew in different directions as siblings, um, I stepped back and realized that I needed to redefine what I was doing in life and why, because everything was, would my sisters look up to me for this? Would they be proud of me? Am I doing stuff that my family would think is appropriate
Yeah.
for me? When I took that step forward and said, I don't like all the stuff that I'm doing, thinking that it's for them doesn't align with me at all. And it was really hard because when you form a relationship with your family of them being very dependent on you being a certain way, and you're like, this isn't me,
Wow.
and you step forward and you're like, no, I can't be that for you anymore. I can't be this person. I don't, I'm not doing this next step to make you proud. I'm doing this next step to feel connected to me again. And when you do that, there's like a level of like shame that you have to step through because it's like these are this is my family though. And when I did that, I realized that my sisters could step up and be stronger
Wow.
individuals themselves
Wow.
because I wasn't that for them anymore. So they had to do it themselves.
Yeah.
And to see what both my sisters have done with their life without me being a crutch for them, I can stand over here and be like, wow, now I can truly be myself
Yeah.
and make choices, never being afraid that it's going to negatively impact these
Yeah.
people, and just be like, oh, okay, going forward, I'm going to keep reminding myself of that lesson. Like, don't reconnect yourself to a new person to try to say, okay, I'm doing it for
Yeah.
them. Going forward, it's me this time.
Yeah.
Like I'm making these choices because it feels good to me, and I'm not thinking, would my mom be disappointed? Would my sisters get hurt from this?
Yeah.
It's taking this step forward, and it feels right for me, and then not asking anyone else on the journey of, do you think it's okay, or will this be okay for us in this friendship? And surprisingly, it was a very freeing moment. And then stuff that I didn't think would happen, because I thought that that would cause damage to relationships and create a long healing journey,
Yeah.
when it actually empowered people to step into their own power. So I think that that was a really important moment, because when I was listening to your song and I was like sitting there, I was just like, what? Yeah, that's the moment where I felt like the weight was lifted
Yeah.
off. And I was just like, okay, I'm going forward for me this time, and I'm not making that mistake again of connecting myself to someone
Yeah.
else, because it was weighing me down from becoming who I really wanted to be and who I knew I was capable of being.
Dude, I'm so proud of you. Like that is such an amazing thing. And not only to make a choice for yourself, but to be able to be the medicine and show your sisters and your family that as well. Now they get to learn that and they get to apply that. You know? So like truthfully, you really made them proud by doing that, you know, after all this time. It's just so sick to realize that those things that we fear can actually become blessings for everybody involved. Like the band, you know, me being able to decide that it said in reality that maybe they didn't want to be a part of it anymore either. And they were able to get on with their lives and be free. So like, man, bravo for like actually stepping up and being like, no, like this is me, and not going your entire life and being some person that you don't want to be. No, so
Yeah.
yeah, bro.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on here. It was an absolute honor to
Of
have
course,
you and have this conversation today. And
you have no
all I
idea.
could say is like, keep going down that authentic journey, because
Yeah.
it's what makes you so likable
Oh,
to everyone who's sitting around supporting you from wherever they're at on their journey. But if there's ever anything that we can do to help support you, let us know, because we don't live in the realm that you live in. And sometimes it seems like we know how to help you. Sometimes we just need you to say, hey, like, share my stuff. Hey, like, on Spotify, this matters more than this. Like, do this for me,
oh,
because there's a lot of people out there that want to see you win. And we know that the algorithm can change a lot of things
yeah.
if enough people get involved. And I'm sure there's tons of people that want to see you up on as many stages as possible so that they can see you perform.
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. Seriously, like the support means a lot, and it was really good just to connect with you, and also to everybody watching. Like, thanks for tuning in and taking time out of your day to tune into something that's super real, you know. And I hope that everybody here was inspired in some way. I know I was. Like Ben, seriously, I feel like this was a coaching call, you know, in some points. Like I really needed to hear a lot of what you had to say today, and I'm really, really grateful for that. So thanks, bro.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm glad it could help, and reach out anytime you need it. I naturally am coach material,
Yeah.
so I will naturally fall into that no matter what.
Good shit, man.
But
Good shit.
I'm glad you enjoyed
Yeah.
it, and I will talk to you
All right,
soon.
all right, brother.
Have a
See you, man.
good one.
Much love.
Bye.